Good afternoon. Welcome to another podcast from Traders Community. Welcome traders, investors, punters, and dribblers, of course. We got the great Madavi here. We got Meta Johnny ripping and tearing on Tesla after the earnings. Today we're going to quickly go through natural gas and oil, Tesla, a few other companies are out with earnings, UAL, AA to name a few, and we'll quickly look at the markets. Without further ado, we got the glorious Madavi here, as we mentioned, and he's ready to rock. Remember, not financial advice. We are just giving insight of what we see and what we don't see and how that's all going on out there. So we, as we mentioned on Twitter, in addition to our DDD, the Dirty Dozen, the Dribbler Dirty Dozen, the DDD, we also have our lab. They've been working on the famous or well-known rip and tear monitor, the old RTM. So we'll give it a little bit of a mention as that further as we go along. So let's get into it without further ado. Obviously, the star of the moment is one Elon Musk. After his Tesla, the whole Twitter nonsense, or is it nonsense, Madavi, or just a lot going on? So
no, he's killing it.
He's killing it, indeed he is. He's brought into Texas. He's got himself a hat now, rather than a cap. So anyway, here we go. We got the nice sell-off on natural gas continued, 682. Who would have thought 680 was a sell-off? Nasdaq was the weak of the bunch, a lot to do with Netflix getting whacked for 35% at one point. Facebook took it, and so did PayPal. So that brought that down. The strongest today were the Dow on one end and the little small cap index Russell on the other end. SPOOs were basically flat. So right now we got 14,085 on Nasdaq, 2045 on the Russell, Vol down at near the lows, 22,875, and S&P 44.77. So Tesla had a really strong earnings report, blew it away on many numbers, all records. The margins were up significantly. And that has a lot to do with Musk's foresight in tying up nickel, rare earth, and lithium contracts with people like BHP. So with those prices, obviously do better. The other reason it's up is they see a 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries. And as the glorious Checkmate mentioned earlier, the equivalent from BMW is something like a 2-year wait over in Europe versus 2 months or so for the Tesla. And it's even longer here, given that's a European car. So let's have a quick look at the SPOOs. That was pretty well one way since the lows back on the start of the week. And we have just driven up. We're looking at a 60-minute here. You can see we're just driven up all day, quite got nice and steady. We had a little bit of noise here with the beige book, amongst other things today. We also had a number which you need to, I think there, if I'm correct, there's an article on it on Traders Community, and I'll just share it real quick. I'll slide it over. But the housing is real. The problems are real. The U.S. mortgage applications fell for the 6th straight week as mortgage rates surged to the highest since 2010. We're at 5.2%. Remember, that was at 2.5% in the middle of the, or thereabouts, in the middle of the pandemic. The trouble is those that would have benefited couldn't get the loan. So it's a real issue. So do yourself a favor, check that out. The other big news today was the US drawdown, and it was on the rollover of May to June, or actually not the rollover, the exit, where it went X. So it was a big draw of 8 billion barrels, which pretty well took out most of last week's big build, 938. Still continuing really low. I think it's the lowest in 20 years, SPI. All those numbers are there on the website. And then you got the one for natural gas coming out tomorrow. So around the barrel is the oil. And into the vortex is the natty. Okay, so where are we? Let's have a quick bloody look. So today's, as we said, today's theme is Tesla earnings rip and tear, which is the inverse, I could say invoice, to the Netflix wipeout. And I've noticed a lot of these stocks are ripping and tearing, so be aware of that. There's a couple today, biotechs, who are up $1, instantly down $1. You basically, and if you can't short them, perhaps it's best to stay away from them. So we got all the settlements there. Just go through them on the website with all the futures. Gold was basically flat. Silver was weaker. Copper was down. We'll look at the charts real quick. Corn was up. Wheat was down. The Bloomberg index was down. So the Dow, as I mentioned, was up. We got all the breakdown here. What got hurt was the S&P communication sector was down 4%. And that's pretty well because of Netflix and Facebook. There's smaller declines in consumer discretionary information. Real estate was up. Consumer staples were up. Healthcare was up. And utilities. So you can see the pattern that's going on. As far as bonds went, we had gains across most tenors as far as bonds goes, which means yields down. So the smallest gain was in the 2-year. It's still 257. So that's weak. And you can see the spread there. The 30-year was down 11 basis points, so to 288. We got all that there as well. So let's go through. So pretty quickly on the S&P, we look through that daily. Obviously not a major. We can see what it did. It's just continuing on from that weekly Cajun over the what's the word I'm looking for? Just over the Cajun and Tenkan. So we don't need to look too much at that. Let's have a quick look at the Nasdaq and bring Madavi on. So here we have the Nasdaq today. Remember, that was the weak one, and you can pretty well blame that on Netflix and that other dribbler champion, Facebook. So let's look at a 60-minute. You can see it just sold off. When is that? On the 5th? Nasdaq's never recovered. So Tesla should help it. That's in the S&P and that. So any thoughts on the Nasdaq?
They did only towards the end of the day. It was actually after the market. I did 2 trades. I did one before the end of the market, which I think I lost money on. And then after the market, when the Tesla stuff was going up and down, I shorted it. Then I bought it because that was really ripping the NQs. And that's where I made my most money. I probably made 20, 30 points each way, going back and forth more. So, and I put a little bit of spice on it. So besides that, I didn't do much in it today. So that was, it was kind of a weird market. You got the Russell up, you got the Nasdaq down, and everybody waiting the great Eli to come out. So, and then you had Netflix, which is basically why the Nasdaq goes down, because it's down so much.
Yeah, and that's people, sometimes we get these, why are you going on about dribblers and all that? So a lot of these, here's the thing that pisses us off. The same dribblers are now trying to go on. They were telling everyone that the stock market was all right last year, to stay in it. And somehow they couldn't see it. And they were mocking anyone that said otherwise. I mean, some of the master dribblers, unbelievable. And they have this amazing herd of followers, like lemmings or the Pied Piper. I mean, it's exactly like that. And it's just bewildering to us that people even listen to this dribble. And it is dribble of the highest order. So something like this and all these tech stocks, it was all there. So why are they telling you still to buy them way up the top? Now that, and down here, and these same dribblers refuse to buy into the Costco's or the energy and all this sort of stuff. So, that's why, and here's a great example. And just think of this on Netflix. Netflix has been saturated for a long time. As Madavi mentioned yesterday when we went through the earnings, all the competitors. So why is it a surprise? The trouble is these people, and remember these dribblers don't have skin in the game for the most part, right? Or if not all. And you've just dropped 37%, and you probably only stayed in it or got in it higher up. You might have averaged. Who knows? There's so many like that. And these are the quality ones. We've gone through the dirty dozen. Some of these things are down at 90%, 80%. And these dribblers recommend them on in the hope that they continue up. I mean, one of the great dribblers is that Tom Lee over at CNBC that I think Madavi mentioned a couple of months ago. 2008 picks the top. It's done the same thing this time. But at least there's a lot worse than that out on FibTwit and stuff. But that's why we go on about it. More as a warning to what goes on and use it to your advantage. So let's have a quick look at some stocks. Obviously, QCOM was one we looked at earlier. First, we'll look at the bonds. You can see that bonds did rally today, meaning, see this? So when bonds go up, it means yields go down, right? So pretty simple. We're really just testing all this level on the 10 right here where it collapsed from the other day. Nothing's obviously improved, out of sight. So let's have a look at the great Elon here. What will we not want to look at? We don't want to look at Walmart. So let's look at Tesla real quickly to give an idea what's going on. So that's obviously trading after hours quite markedly. So I'm not sure if so here we have the 5 minute. So the number actually dropped a little bit earlier than expected. So that might have caught some people unawares, but we were trading around 972. This sell-off, there's been constant bad press about Twitter and Elon. And Madavi, why don't you share that interesting factoid you saw on TV last night? Kind of some anti-Tesla propaganda.
Well, the last couple of days I noticed for the first time, and running anti-Tesla commercials about their automated driving car to contact Congress, to basically stop this nonsense of his self-driving cars. I've never seen that before, and I think it's got it's probably a sign of the backlash of him trying to buy Twitter. Someone's trying to send him a warning.
Yeah, it's got that look about it because you've got Google amongst a bunch of others with these self-automated cars.
Why would they just pick out Tesla?
Right. So, interesting game. Obviously, there's so many mind games, and somehow it's become a political thing, which is bewildering. So, at the end of the day, it's free speech or not. Obviously, there's not a lot of free speech going on with so many things. In a partisan world where people can't think for themselves, it's kind of interesting. And how it's delved into this.
See, free speech. They're living in the fantasy land.
Right, exactly. So, let's look at the chart. So, this is 5 minute. It had a beautiful double bottom down at 418. And the reason we mention that, don't let that influence your decision. If you do, don't trade a stock that's influenced by it because it can make you do irrational things. In an irrational market, not a good thing. So we got a double bottom here from 3 days ago. Earnings got this thing from 972 up to exactly plus 8. We did do a little trade here. And you can see this is where we took profit, actually. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe how good it was, actually. That was plus 2.8, 1045. Obviously, you don't do a lot of size on this thing. Well, we don't. People do. This is your 100 share sort of game, if not. And a lot of people do options. The problem with options, you can't trade them after hours. So what do? That's a $70 move pretty much there. So we'll see how this goes. There's expectations of stock splits and all that, but pretty handy numbers from what we see. Tesla, as you know, we mentioned with Musk, it has a lot of anti-people, so they just thought whenever there's a result, it's always fake, it's always bodgy accounting, whatever. So that's that. If we look at a daily chart, see where that looks on that. And so remember, this is daily, so this is at market close. So where we are is just up here. You can see potentially this massive trend line, right? So if it gets over that, this would become some kind of bull flag. If it fails, just look at all your support on the cloud here. That's what's relevant. And we showed you those on the alley. Okay, let's have a look at Netflix. So this is, what was that?
Tesla's starting to rip back up.
Oh, I'll put that on real quick after this. So just want to look at Netflix on a daily. So look at this. Plus 2.8. This is one of the great Nova Wave trades, if ever I've seen one. Plus 2.8, right? And all the other stuff that went with it. Won't bore you with it. But plus 2.8, 680 plus, almost 700. And look where we are. Went under 2. Did it go under 200 today? Just in front of it. So you want to, that is what we call a $400 move on the downside. So remember, when you invest, you can short, you can buy, right? And if something's way overpriced, doesn't mean you buy it, right? So going to be interesting when this happens. So I heard the new acronym today for the old FANG is now FUCK. I can see why. You got Netflix in it. You got obviously Facebook in it. I don't know what Apple and Google think about that new acronym. What do you think, Madami?
Yeah. We got Tesla in it too.
Well, Tesla isn't in the FUCK index apparently, but I wonder if they got patented or what? Huh?
They're all FANG stocks. Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Amazon.
Right. So, well, Tesla's not in the FANG.
Yeah, it is.
No, well, FANG is Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, right? But yeah, it's in its own one. Yeah,
it goes by the letter.
It's just a letter thing. That's why they changed it. I saw someone say FUCK. I went, there you go. So let's go back to Tesla real quick.
They added UAL in there. Bang.
UAL's in there.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I wondered where the U came from. Very astute, my friend.
Netflix, and they put in UAL.
Well, actually, that one did all right? So let's look at the 1 minute, eh? Here's the 1 minute on Tesla. So you can see what's going on. Nice little pull back here, and if it breaks this, that would be your obviously target. So what was the other one? UAL, we should look at that. That had earnings, and all those airlines were ripping and tearing after the market. UAL, what got them going was UAL says they expect to be profitable this year. So there's been some buying in these stocks already. That mask mandate got thrown out. They had to wear on the plane. That was that yesterday? So that obviously got sometime this week, they got some impetus going here. A lot of this is, you can see today on earnings, so boom, it popped here, always plus 2.8 up at 53, but we're over $50 here, and it looks like it was about 45 before that number come out and changed. UAL, the other airlines did the same thing. On the back of this, so what's the other one? AAPL, you got Love, you got JetBlue, all basically the same thing. We'll just look at this one. You can do the same patterns. So remember, use your grid, those using the Know the Way stuff, and it'll get you in and out of good levels. And you can see what happened. So here's what's a nice one. So this one went up, and obviously read in the headwinds because it wasn't their earnings, it was UAL, so there's that unknown. So it pops up. We're going to look at another one today. This one was a wild one that we actually did a big short trade on last week. RAD, which stands for Rite Aid. Rite Aid exploded up about $3 today at one stage because it was disclosed that they knocked back a takeover offer of $14.50 last week. So last week we actually shorted this on earnings. Was it? Maybe it was more than last week. They knocked it back.
So short at the end of the day.
Yeah, so this one that was a good short. Shit, I didn't know it went that low. So anyway, popped up. You can see it popped up the other day. This might have been earnings here, actually. My bad. This is a trade we did. I forget what this was. Anyway, went up on earnings, went down. Today it comes out, hits all the scanners, got over $10, which was right at that target up there, breakdown. And then it said, how's your father? Bang, 8.4. Remember what ripping and tearing, these are rip and tearing stocks. Remember what that means.
Well, you got to tell them what the news is. They got a buyout offer of $14.
Oh, yeah, no, I mentioned that. That was $14.50. That's what made it rip up here, and it's a real rip and tear, this one.
Well,
so
I think that deal will get done. I think it will get done at 18. So I'll be
well, the more I look into it, it's a tricky one, and the reason it was knocked back is because there's $3 billion in bad debt. They call it stress debt. I'm trying to think of it. I can't think of the name of it. So $3 billion on top of an 880 was the bid at $14.50.
Well, here's the deal with that. So they know that $3 billion is not what they're going to pay back. They'll pay back maybe $2 billion.
Well, so that's at 75. So I can't think. It's like Starlight.
Get negotiated anywhere from 50% to 30% down. So
so what I read quickly is most of that's trading at 75%. So,
okay.
But the point is so what Rite Aid's saying that these guys don't understand the structure. But anyway, it's now in play. The market came off on that. So it went up on the number. Then you read about all the distressed debt, and that's basically what happened here. So it still finished up $1, I think, on the day. So that's one to watch. We're going to be watching option activity and other stuff. The debt markets is what you want to watch. You want to see how those corporate bonds are trading. Okay, there was one. Oh, what was the other stock? Oh, yeah. We wanted to mention SEV. We played that yesterday. It was also one today.
It's my darling right there.
Yeah. Don't get emotional, mate. Don't get emotional. So this one, remember this play yesterday, they had earnings, positive announcement. They then got driven, so they came off all day. It ran right into the after hours. This actually moved. I'm trying to think what it moved on. Then I looked at it and timed it. It was because of Tesla. This is an electric car maker. Got it going. It actually got over $9 there. So nice trade. Good trade there, mate. And here's one that is what you got to be aware of. This is one that we got caught on the old rip and tear here. Not in a good way. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get this one out of my brain. CRTV, is it? CRTV? What was that one?
Hey, remind everybody what everybody's waiting for right now in Tesla. They're waiting for Eli to announce that split.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned that. They're waiting for the...
Yeah, so as soon as that happens, everybody's expecting the stock maybe take off.
Right, so I think that's why it pulled back a bit there. Was it CRTX? Is this the one I hate? I think it's... No, that bloody... Yeah, so... it's not this one. Or is it? No, this isn't the stock I'm thinking of. I can't remember that... what was that biotech that just was up $1 and then dropped $1 instantly?
RXT.
Yeah. So no matter how good you are, sometimes
I like that one. That one's good to me.
Yeah. Well, it can be good, and we'll just talk it through it. So this is one that is a reason why you take stuff off when you can. That didn't work. See,
I was upset that I thought I got out early. Thank God. Sometimes it pays off getting out a little bit earlier.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Is it CRXT?
CRXT, Charlie Robert X-Ray Tom.
So this is one that actually I took a beating on because I was up pretty good on it. Then it dropped on a swipe and...
All the beatings. Now you know how I feel.
So here's a good example. So I'm long this, which normally I'm not. I'm long about here. Make a coffee. Boom. And you can see that. And it actually went all the way down here to 180. Look at this. So this is why you take a stop loss. So this one, normally I'm short it and I got overfilled. That's bloody what happened, basically. So these real punter stocks, you can see these actions. You got to be really aware of them. It went to plus 2.8. So always look at where you are on a chart. Look, every now and then, so this is a testosterone stock. So there is news, but you can see once it gets in these. So this probably what happened. A big hedge fund just pounded it, swept down 50 cents, took his millions of shares out. And a lot of these trading groups, rooms, dribbler associations, punter morning stars, all these groups all go into one way, and most of them can only buy. So so that's a brutal side of that. And so I tend to not do too many of these because you have one of them. So you just don't get too big. So if you normally risk $10,000, say, on a stock, don't risk more than $1,000 on a dribbler stock like this. This isn't really even a dribbler. This is pure punt. So I shouldn't say that. You got to be careful of your labeling of this stuff. Okay, so that's about it. We just wanted to be a quick one. We will love you and leave you. If you like our content, give us a shout out, subscribe, share. There's all those quick technical levels. Remember, these are all on the weekly, and we update it daily. So these stay on the weekly, the bigger process, so you know where they are. And if you do have this software, so we'd highly recommend Sierra is a great thing. Real simple. Just put on what we have, and we'll help you with that.
But not anymore. I'm going to give it. I mean, we'll see.
What was that?
I'm just joking about the chart.
Oh, yeah. So look at this one. We'll leave you with this one. That there shows you why you don't fall. So people that look, you go up by the stairs and down by the escalators, and there's so many stories like this. That's why you never go broke taking a profit. People laugh at, but look how far. And these are big moves. Look at these bars. This is a weekly. So this is a weekly chart. That's 540 to 320, and this one here so far this week's 350 down to 1 or not nearly or 200. So just be aware of that. So horses for courses, right? If you're an investor, trader, any of that, you got to be aware of these sort of things and respect it, and we'll hammer. Just be aware of what goes on. Remember, it's your money, so be careful who you bloody listen to, right? And who, there's so many out there. And that's pretty well it. Where is the day trade one? And we'll finish on that. That's where all the markets are. And we will see everyone tomorrow. Have a great day. Earnings season is really heating up, so keep an eye on that. There's lots of good trading off that. The energy stocks are moving around pretty hard. So don't forget you got the natural gas numbers tomorrow.
Airlines are good.
Yeah, airlines, big numbers. So look for... So everyone says, upgrades and downgrades don't matter. Well, they do get moves. We know that they're just analysts and they're usually behind the curves. But they can move. And remember, you can always short or always buy. You don't have to go one way. You can have your own use your system. So, like and subscribe us, and we will see you later. Thanks for joining. Bye.